Hello, Fluffy here. Welcome back to another Raid Shadow Legends video. How are you all doing today? This is a different video than what I normally do. We will be talking about Tag Team Arena. I know people hate it or that it always gets dissed and so on, but I reckon it's not as bad as everyone thinks. I think a lot of people hate it because it's difficult and tedious. But honestly, if it's difficult, that makes it more of a challenge. So, I'm just going to go through how I pick teams to face, what I look for, what I avoid, and so on. So I don't necessarily look at the total power. The three main things I look for. I look at the champions. For example, an account that has champions all plus like this, except Warlord, I just fuck it. I'm moving on. This one, they only have supports mainly that are plussed. So the first thing I look for is the champions. If they're plussed, if they're not plussed. But mainly I just look at the type of champions. Like this first team. Let's just open it up so it's larger. You got Arbiter, into Hedgie, into Yumiko, into Mashald. So I would avoid this team even with my go second team, because Yumiko will lock me out and that would not be fun. So I would avoid that team. If there's one team I'd just purely avoid, then I don't go for it. But a team like this, I would... So normally, if it's an Arbiter team or fast team, I use my Heffrak Wukong combo to face them. I've got my Heffrak in one turn Stone Skin. So usually when Wukong is the one that gets nuked to the ground, so then Heffrak is usually the one that counters that, and unless it's a high survivability team on a high level account, he usually just one-shots the go first team on his counter. But if you're doing that sort of strategy, you need to crit cap him. Just FYI. Otherwise, it's not a guaranteed crit. Now for the Duchess team, this looks like a slow team. So I'd probably put a quicker team up against it. So I would look at the third team then and notice it has Tormund. Since it has Tormund, I would put my Siphi team up against it because I've got my Siphi going first. She will put the block debuffs up for Uko to go. So I would put my Siphi team against the Tormund team, which would leave my go first team to deal with this team. But I try to avoid, these days I try to avoid teams that if I'm 80% sure I will lose, then I just avoid it altogether. So let's continue. So we'll go down to this one. Now, let's move on to the second thing I look for. So just recap, the first thing I look for is the champions. I hardly ever look at the total power. Now, it's not guaranteed, but the second thing that can give you a hint is the clan banner. Now, it's not a guaranteed to show you to tell you what level they're at, but it is a good indication. So, whether it's bronze, silver, or gold, it's kind of a good indication. But the third thing I do, if I'm not sure, if there's like a few champions in here that I'm not sure about, for example, this team here, the Amans, Mikage, Rhodos, and Nishak, if I'm not sure about how quick their Armands could be, or their Mikage could be, I click on their profile. So this is definitely a 3-star bronze team, 6 million player power. So I'm not level 94. So I'm not expecting this Armands or Mikage to be very quick, seeing as they're still using Arbiter. I would expect Arbiter to be the fastest champion. Now I'd expect the Armands to be about 300 if he got lucky with some rolls. Because I'm able to get my, if I make my Warlord my second fastest champion, I can get him to about 320 speed with about 500-600 accuracy. So I'm expecting that Armands to be about 300ish speed. So this would be a team I would face. Now I'm actually going to face this team just to show you. So now I look at the 3 teams. Whichever the Arbiter team is, I put my UDK Heffrak Wukong combo on that team straight away. Now the second thing I look for is a lot of people are using Torment. So I look to see if there's a Torment. There's no Torment. So then I look for like bomb champions. This one has a Nishak. So there's a Nishak. I look to see who their speed lead is, if there are any speed boosters or turn meter boosters. So this one only has Armands, which I'm not expecting this team to be very quick. However, there is a fair bit of resistance in this team. Resistance and crit rate in this team. Since this team power is 368. So it tells me there's a lot of resistance and crit rate in it. So I would still put my fastest team up against it. And I'll leave my Sifi team to deal with virtually my Harima versus their Harima. So let's see if I've made the right choice. Now, I'm doing this video now because I've decided to push into Silver 4. Now, this is where it can get tricky, the fact that their Heffrak is in a 2-turn stone skin. So, this is where I've purposely put my Trunda faster than my Harima. Because if my Uko doesn't strip, then I purposely use Trunda's A3. It kills someone on their team. Well, it should have. Of course she stole Stone Skin. Now let's... hopefully we don't get wiped out here. Nope, cool. Let's bring back Uko. Nice. Bring back those two with the block damage. Nice. Harima's still alive, that's good. We'll sleep and hopefully she does not have the cleanse, good. Now we'll take them two down. So I like to counter Heffrak in one of 2 ways. Either using a protector like Necrit, or using a passive like Harima. Do I A2 or do I A3? I think I should A3. I weakened my Wukong a bit, so I wasn't sure if it was going to get through the strengthen. That, and you never know who has reaction on these days. So now this team is where you have to get a bit, if you don't have a Warlord, you have to be a bit more cautious, because not only do you have Rhodos, which his A2 is on a 2-turn cooldown, you also have a Mythical, and you also have Armands that can decrease cooldown on his A1. But this is why I put this team together specifically. Necrit with He-Man, and I purposely built these two with a bit more HP than them. So Necrit puts a passive on He-Man. So then if there's a mythical on the team and I don't have a block active skills or anything like that, I can take out the mythical, which of course are weak hit. But we'll just... Swift Parry Mikage. Okay. I never expected to see Swift Parry on a non-reviver. Now, use Necrit to try kill that. No, okay. Now, here, when it comes to Rotos, and you're using He-Man, use He-Man's A1. Places an extra hit on enemies from the Corrupted, which is Rotos. So, it'll take us... If Rotos is more than half health, use He-Man's A1. If you think your He-Man is strong enough, use the A1. Weak it again. So, yeah. When it comes to Heffrak, try and counter... You can counter... I swear I can speak. I like to try and counter it with Stone Skin. Making sure if you have two nukers, make sure one of them... Your Stone Skin one is slower than your other nuker. Normally that Trundle would have taken out Wukong, but it just goes to show how good Harima's passive is. So, because Trundle would have normally taken out Wukong, Heffrak would have used a passive while Harima was still on Stone Skin. That would have protected Harima, which Harima could have then went for the nuke. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is just ally protection. If you don't have Harima to counter the ignore defense, then you can just use like you can use a bolster set as well. There's a few different ways you can counter Heffrak's passive. It's hard. The higher caliber the account, the harder it is to counter with just like bolster set and all that. And you have to really just Stone Skin it. Now, this account 7 million player power. This one 10 million. So the total power is not much different, but let's try and compare the two. So the two Arbiter teams. Okay, this one's nasty. Very similar to the one I run. Only difference is they have an Armands for control. I have a Warlord for control. Now, I would expect the PK Arbiter team to be a lot quicker. So I would for sure put my UDK team up against this one. And for example, this team here, how this one has Rotos in it. If I wasn't sure that I could, like, because UDK and Partheon are bound to have Stone Skin. So I would either go my UDK team to counteract Rotos, or I would probably risk, if this team down here wasn't here, if it wasn't a bomb team, then I might risk using my Arbiter team to go up against it, just to try and wipe it out in one hit. Just to try kill the Rotos. I would probably swap out Necrit for a second damage dealer to try and kill off Rhodos before he could even take a turn. Keep Warlord in there to lock out Parthion so he couldn't revive. And yeah, like for example, I might take her Trunda, put her down there, or use another HP burn damage dealer maybe, or might even chuck Senna in there to try to just push the turn meter. But a lot of different things that you have to think about, like, because normally I would put UDK against their Arbiter team, but UDK is a perfect counter for Rhodos. So in this type of situation where their team is not much, their total power isn't much higher than mine. So could I risk doing this? Could I risk putting my Arbiter against their Arbiter? Because they've probably got their Necrit built for a bit of resistance, possibly. And yeah, so could I risk doing this? Or another way I could go, since I have this Harima team, I could do this because I've got my Uko and my Harima in Stoneskin. And because this could be risky because if Amon's stripped, if he sheeps Uko, he's lost his Stoneskin, he's sheeped, and then he nukes everyone else. Then Thor nukes everyone else, they all drop. Now I'm only left with Harima and no reviving. And with the amount of control Armand has, even when the nuke from Thor brings Uko out of the sheep, I'm controlled. So that's another thing to think about. So the reason I like to put UDK up against a team like this is because Armand will most likely sheep UDK, or he'll try to sheep Wukong. So and I just have to pray that the Stoneskin on Heffrak doesn't get stripped, and that he still has his Stoneskin for when Thor nukes him down, so then Heffrak can counter with his AoE. But then another thing you have to think about in this case specifically is Thor is most likely going to be the one that has the passive protection from Necrit. So that's also something you have to think about. This type of team is very tricky. That's why I put it up. That's why I made one. That's why I've got the Go First Necrit He-Man for my 3v3. Because it's very effective. Let's just go back, for example. My defense. See, just so you know, my defense teams, I've got my Go First in the 3rd spot, Sifi Harima in the 2nd spot, and my UDK Heffrak in the 1st spot. So, Battle Logs defense. Now, I am getting a lot of higher level accounts that are stronger than me. See, that is what you want to get to. You want to get to the point where only people that are stronger than you can beat you. That is the type of teams you want to be making. Now, this team here, they were smart to put their Tormund team, up against my Arbiter team because it's just full on turn meter boost. Now, they put their Arbiter team up against my Sifi Harima team, and they lost. There are Arbaeus, Armand's, Geo, not Geo, freaking Georgid. Tried going up against my UDK team, did not work. Because most likely when Georgid took out my UDK or my Wukong, my Hefak would have countered, wiping them out. Then eventually when the Stone Skin went off of Partheon, my Wukong would have came back and nuked him down. I do have a lot of defeats because, well, in the last 12 hours, because, well, just there's a lot of... Because I'm in Australia. Most of the people that play this are like America, Germany, UK, United, just all those types of places. So that's when it's not time for me, that's usually when I get hit the most. So you have the Harima teams, the Marichka, Narcissus, and the King and Queen. You have the Yumiko. Now this was something I was surprised to see. I beat Sifi, Taurus, UDK, and Tormund. Although it was my Sifi team, so... That team, by God. That is pure RNG. That's a pure RNG team. Yeah, so, under here, where it cuts off, because it only gives you 10 slots, which is, like, no, it should be a full 24 hour... It should allow a full 24 hours. But under here, I had like 7 wins in a row. Like 7 victories in a row. I was going to try to show you the importance of picking the teams correctly. Because a lot of the victories were just bad matchups. So I was going to show you that. Now let me show you some builds. Now I can't take too much time with this video because I have to push to Silver 4 because, well, I want to get to gold. Now my Trunda is just pure damage. He-Man, just pure damage. Wait, why is he in this build? What the hell? Oh, seriously, why is he in this build? I'll have to look into that later. I must have been messing around with him. Yeah, he's just in pure damage. My Hefrak, 1 turn Stone Skin. You don't really need him in a damage set, although it would help. He is in Cruel, but yeah, it's 1 piece Cruel. Mithral is just in Triple Perception. Got Masifi in 4-piece Protection, 2-piece Pinpoint. Harima, 1 turn Stone Skin, and some Savage. He's in... Wukong's just in Savage. I've got my Duchess in a Resistance build. Just 656 Resistance, 254 Speed, 72k HP, 3k Defense. Now my UDK, 2 turn Stone Skin, 81k HP, 5k Defense, slow as a dead snail. Got my Uko in 1 turn Stone Skin, with some pinpoint. It's only 3-piece pinpoint, not 4. And that's about it. They're the important builds. So yeah, hopefully I can push to... I've got under an hour as of the time of the recording, but I should only need to win a few more fights, or a few more 3v3s, because I think it's still... it doesn't matter how high this larger number gets, I think it's still 1200 points to get into this. So yeah, if anyone's still watching, just a quick recap. The 3 main things I look for: the champions, their clan, and their total player power. When you click on their icon, they are the 3 main things I look for. I hardly ever look at the total power under their teams. They're the main 3 things that I look for when I'm matching, when I'm choosing what teams to fight. Then if I've chosen a team, like this is got UDK, Wukong, Lissandra, that's possibly a quick team. This Arbiter team, I'm staying the fuck away from it, pardon my French. And Tormund, Harima, Karma, I'm staying away from this team. So this team, I would normally say like no. But you look at this, 3-star. But then you open this up, it's like 14 million player power, which means that Lissandra's probably quick. That Arbiter's bound to be quick. That Armand's will be quick. That Kaimar, that Padrag, they will all be pretty quick. So yeah, I would stay the hell away from that team. So yeah, the main things I look for when I am doing 3v3. So, if you liked the video, hit the like button. Consider subscribing to the channel if you want to see more. And I'll see you next time.